Was it a point of pride for you that they finally named a street, well, an alley after
Well,
you?
of course it is. But, you know, Gene, me and you have talked about this plenty. There's an old saying, you know, there's a kid is sitting with his dad in the park, and he looks over at a statue, and you know, and they don't know who the statue is even for. And the kid says to his dad, "Well, Dad, how come you don't have a statue? I think you're great." And the dad says to his son, "Well, son, it's better to deserve a statue and not have one than to have one, obviously, like this one here, and not deserve it." And so I've said that about my presence here in Oklahoma City. I think most people that I would run into would say, "Wayne, if we could, we'd give you Main Street downtown. It'd be the greatest thing ever." And I knew even from a long time ago how much we meant to people and how much we were appreciated. I never needed it to be on a plaque or on a statue or on a street sign. I already knew that. I think most people that I would run into would agree. But let it be said that when streets are being named, I can see where people are like, well, I have to name them something. Let's put and I thought it was because you know for a while there was a debate: is the Flaming Lips having an alley? Is it actually a slap in the face? Because look, it's just an alley, and there's dumpsters and there's trucks driving through it. It's not a, and in a sense, I mean, you've talked about this. I think it's a perfect analogy to the way that the Flaming Lips have sort of secretly, for the better, I think, sort of changed the atmosphere of Oklahoma City. It's not obvious, and it's not the biggest, brightest light on the street, but if you aren't just looking for the obvious and aren't just looking for the most popular, you'd find us and say, well, this is interesting. Not everybody's going to understand this, but this is interesting. In the same way that you would find our alley in Bricktown. Toby Keith has a great big restaurant there. It's easy to find that. There's a lot of other things around that are obvious. Oh, this must be great. But I imagine anybody who knows anything about art, knows anything about music, knows anything that isn't just popular mainstream culture would stumble upon that alley and say, wow, the Flaming Lips have an alley here in Oklahoma City. That almost speaks more about what Oklahoma City's potential could be than I think the idea of having a giant stadium named after you. I think it's the coolest thing that could happen. And the fact that it's done slightly in secret, slightly without everybody having to pay attention to it, I think is even better, because the people who discover it on their own, it's like a lot of these things. I think the Flaming Lips audience, in a sense, a lot of times they come to our records or come to our shows thinking, you know, I don't care who's there. I want to be there. And if I'm the only one there, I don't care. And they come there and they find that they're surrounded by these thousands of people. Say, well, I'm not alone. But I would be here knowing that even if I was alone, I'd still be here. And that's a powerful thing. Not to be pushed along by other people's ideas of what you should be about. To discover your identity and your own way of being on your own. And that's a brave and hard thing to do. And I think a lot of people do that with the Flaming Lips. And they stand there and they go, wow, I'm not alone. I'm not some fool who's just dreaming. This is a real thing. And I think that discovering the alley would happen in the same way.